Okay, so for me, the my highs were definitely whenever we did get the action. The action was good. I thought it was shot clean. I thought it was beautiful production. I loved how they weren't scared for things to obstruct the view of the camera, the execution of the production. They weren't scared for things to get in the way. They weren't scared for it to be gritty. They mix it up. Even so much in the fighting, which it was a bit much, but it still worked for me. I also love the fact that this was the big bad that they pumped up was actually worth the trouble. When they first interact, the interaction is actually a worthy one, a compatible one. They didn't make him somebody that's just gonna just hide behind this persona. We got to see why he's the big bad. So I enjoyed that aspect, and then they actually built him up, to end up having another showdown, which I also approve. I love when we can get more than one encounter. That's kind of the classic '80s thing. You get your encounter, you're not as successful, so you just got to come back stronger. So I did love that, and I did love the whole process of it being a true revenge. And I love today when they gave us the revenge, when they gave us the big reveal of the revenge, it it made you it was worthy. Some of these revenge stories is just kind of like, yeah, you wronged me, or you wronged some people that was giving me food, beekeeper. And I'm gonna get
Mm.
you. But this one was more. You felt it, and you wanted him to get that revenge. You get invested. I mean, well, at least I did for me. So that was a high for me. You definitely wanted to see him get that revenge. Now, if I can start to get into my lows, there's things that bother me. I'll start with the big bad. I feel like whenever you have somebody that's that vicious and that story that's traumatizing the character so much, the revenge needs to fit the crime. And I felt like there was an action that was taken in the flashback, which I won't spoil, that I wanted to happen to the big bad, and we didn't get that moment. That action impacted the character where he was literally scarred with that moment, and he had to carry it with him for the rest, to this day. So I needed the big bad to experience that as well. But that's just me and my all Ariesness for wanting full revenge. I was in the theater, like, kind of boiling at some points because I was getting emotionally invested. So I was a little disappointed that the revenge wasn't full tilt, as I would like to call it. I was also a little disappointed in some of the elements of storytelling. I felt fell short. I felt like there were things that were kind of, as we talked about it after, maybe there was a lot more to it and they had to cut it short. And I believe that because, the way the story was presented, it was done so well. I find it hard to believe that they were okay with just kind of inserting things and not weaving everything together tightly. It was just kind of like, yes, we're giving you this story, but oh, also there's this, also there's this, and you're like, well, wait, and if it takes you out of it, which it did for me, because I'm a writer director, I'm looking at it that way. It bothered me. I know some people were just getting caught up in the moment and waiting for it. It's fine. Also, the length of the movie could have been shorter. I felt like, for all that we got, in my personal opinion, we only got about 35% of the movie was action, and it was marketed to me as an action film, and we didn't truly, in my opinion, we didn't truly get that. We were getting all the moments that were giving you the reason for the action. They definitely did explain that very well. We were getting all of those moments for the reason for the action, but I felt like we got so much more of that, so much more of the backstory, that we didn't get enough action. It didn't balance out for me. And then lastly, I will say well, my mind's drawing a blank because I just thought about, I didn't want to spoil something. I guess I'm gonna just leave it there. If somebody else brings it up, brings back, then I'll come back to it. But I'll leave my review right there.
All right. So before we get into the next person, which is probably going to be Dad Panther, I wanted to play this clip because I felt like this clip was super important to understanding this film and the filmmaker.
It's closed on us. Everything kind of went wrong, but we kept filming. We used mobile phones. We broke bones. Everything that could have happened happened. Then we got dropped. And then, enter Jordan Peele to the rescue. Jordan watched the film. He said he watched it 3 times. And we had this kind of Zoom call that turned into a sort of therapy session for like 3 hours. He's such an incredible auteur when it comes to using genre to talk about bigger issues. That kind of Trojan aspect, he really was incredible. And he's like, I hope you don't mind. I've shared it with Universal and we're going to release it theatrically. And I literally fell off my chair. So that last leg of editing and getting to the finish line in South by Southwest, that was them.
So, man, I want to give that man a hand clap.
Thank you. That explains something. That definitely explains something.
This film was underfunded from the beginning. This guy had to donate plasma. He had to become a male prostitute. There was a lot of things. He had to work for Diddy for about 6 months just to get all of the money together so he could shoot the film that he wanted to shoot. They were also shooting during COVID, and this is real. Another shit I was playing with, but a lot of this was shot during COVID. So there were certain areas of India that were closed off. Some of the areas they were already shooting in, and he was trying to go back and pick up certain shots. He couldn't do it because they closed the parts of the country down. Then they shot other things in other countries. But then it was hard because in other countries they didn't have the same people to work on the sets and do all types of stuff. So like this film was riddled with difficulty and problems throughout the whole project. And this film wouldn't have come out without Jordan Peele stepping in and lending a helping hand, as Black people always have a tendency to do. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted that to be noted while we were giving our reviews. Not saying that we should be light on our judgment. I just wanted to add color to the conversation. So AB, you ready to go?
I was gonna let Dad Panther because I got something. I got some good things to wrap things up before you wrap it all up.
Okay, all right, Dad Panther, let's take it away.
I'll just go in with the low first. The low would be when it comes to movies like this. A lot of times they kind of get away from action, and this being a true revenge movie, I thought it did a great job there, but it just missed the mark when it came to finishing out that story, similar to the later John Wicks, where you kind of get away what the drive is for the character. Because they don't really fully explain some of the cultural stuff, I feel like you lose that sentimental feeling that you would connect with. They did it better than the earlier movie that we talked about, but I would say that would be the low for me. It's just the storyline, because of it, kind of went longer than it should have. Now, this was a 2-hour movie, almost 2 hours, and it felt much longer, and it shouldn't have. There should have been a better pacing on it. From there, as far as the high of the movie, I thought it was shot well. I thought it was kind of like a fight, a match, a wrestling match. They needed to settle down at times from the shaky camera that started early, but I thought the music was smooth. I thought the lead up to that major boss, similar to Beekeeper, worked out. I thought it was almost built like a professional wrestling match. There was scenes and characters that they literally put over, and they switched from a heel to a face, and I felt like that was organic. Like I said before, it was the fact that that trailer that was cut was different, and it kind of changed the idea of it. Now, as far as whether or not their budget and what you showed earlier, that doesn't change what my rating of it was. I enjoyed it for what it was, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Let you guys finish it up.
So, me personally, let me let AB go, and then I can come on in at the end.
Of course, you're the show man. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say this. My lowest one was kind of that second act. That second act had kind of basically it was a balancing act for the movie right there. It was given the overbranching story and how the revenge was what was there, but they kind of stayed a couple of times a little too long on some parts, and they went a little too little. That's the only bad to me in this movie, because you got to have a movie that's going to be fun, and it's going to go ahead and provide exactly what I was looking at in the trailer with all the action. There's one part in there that I was kind of a little bit miffed on. You'll find out when you get a chance to watch this. Now, the highs. Look, the action in this movie was great. I mean, they had, you could tell. Thank you, Jay, for showing that video, because you could tell the difference between the. This is the only mild spoiler. I'll just say this. You can tell the difference between the production value of the first big fights and the last big fights. The revenge fight was like the choice du jour. Chef kiss, John Wick level brutality. Everybody's fighting all over the place. Everything's getting wild. Everything's crazy. you see the look in these people's eyes that that Monkey Man's leading the charge in there to take everybody down. So it was great. That that is definitely the high part about this. And just one last adage. This movie, if they ever decided, because I've been wondering and wanting something sort of like this to happen, because of course some people talk about these verses out there. I mean, this world right here in the Monkey Man world, John Wick, the Equalizer, and even the Beekeeper's world could mesh together into one big universe if they ever decided to do that. Because you can see in Monkey Man, you have the dark side of the universe and whatnot. Same thing as the Equalizer. You see the dark side when Denzel turns on that watch. You see the whole different world. The world just flips on its head. Like, okay, here's normal people world, but then there's a darker side full of assassins, badass fighters, and you could go wrong. You don't step out at night when you're in this type of world, or else you're gonna get either ran over by a car or shot up by a bunch of assassins trying to hit somebody else. So be mindful of that. Go out, have a good time. I would say, yeah, this is definitely, you can, if you get a chance to see this in the movie theater, definitely see it. But try to see it in like a matinee, or if you have one of the platforms for the movie theaters, like the AMC A list or the Regal, whatever has a program that lets you get free movie tickets. Yeah, go see it for an evening movie. Make a show of it. It's a good popcorn flick. Just chill out, have fun, embrace the action. You'll 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 be in for a surprise or two.
All right, all right. Yeah, baby. And Monkey Man can do everything a monkey can. I went to the theaters. I got my chicken fingers for $12 or whatever time. I got me some little pizza. Actually, no, we didn't get none of that. No, we went to McDonald's, and I got me a double quarter pounder. I got a 10-piece nugget, a big ass drink, and I sat next to two stuffy white people. Old white lady in her late 60s, and her husband looked like he was in his 50s. He looked like he getting pussy on the side, and they were just as stuffy as all get out, man. Every time I chewed on a nugget, she was huffing and puffing. But when that movie came on and Dev Patel came, it was all silent in the theaters. Nobody talking. You couldn't even hear the mouse eating popcorn off the floor. I mean, like, people were fully engrossed in this experience. The colors, the first thing everybody kept gasping over were the wide shots and the beautiful usage of color. And like I feel like India is so underutilized in film, unless they're blowing some shit up or showing some Bollywood type stuff. So showing this duality within India, where you have high society and these beautiful high-rise buildings and all of this unique architecture, and then you get down into the shanty towns and there are just these kids running in the streets. Some of them ain't got shoes on, and there's so much going on so fast. I thought this was such a unique and beautiful experience to see ground level with, handy cams. It wasn't like, they had a big, huge crew. When you on sets with big, huge crews, they can block off, 5 streets worth of stuff. And so that way you can get these nice big shots with only 2 people on the block and 1,000 square acres of, nah, man, they ain't got that budget for that. So like, stuff is happening close up. Things are happening on the go. When fights are happening, when chases are happening, it's mad people in the way, man. There's stuff going on. You're watching in the theater, you're thinking that you about to get hit with something. When they jumping off of a building, you feel like you falling. It's a very engrossing experience for me. I so was loving this. The flashbacks, I feel like the central character having his emotional issues how they showed the emotional issues, how they showed the development of the character. I feel like they could have done a little bit better of a job with it, but overall, I loved it. I loved seeing him kind of be balanced and got it all together in the beginning of the film. But as the film went on, he slowly started losing his freaking mind. I can't tell you why, because I don't want to ruin the film, but he starts to lose his shit. And then it comes the time when, obviously it's time for him to get his shit together. And then, can we give a hand clap to the good old American montage? Huh? God damn. God damn. Good old America. I ain't seen a good training montage in so long. And when I saw it, I said, is these niggas about the montage? Oh shit. And my man come out with the boop, 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 boop. Oh, I'm like, oh shit. Yo, we got a montage in this motherfucker. And then it was, I'm not gonna say completely unique. Montages are montages, but I mean, they brought it back, they put a little bit of a twist on it. And then, we got to these final fights, and I was like, man, this is so satisfying. But in review, when I'm thinking back, if I'm going to talk about the downside, the dark side of the movie, is I feel like they were trying to address too many social issues all at one time. Oh, you trying to address transgender problems? You trying to address the caste system problem? You trying to address rape problems and this problem and prostitution, sex worker problems. It's too many. Yeah, like no wonder my man, the lead guy, he went crazy because he's trying to help everybody and he's still fucked up in the game. Like, you know what I'm saying? So this film can seem a little bit scatterbrain, but because I feel like I feel like the core of the film was shot. Jordan Peele comes in and says, yo, what you have is great, but you want to have an emotional connection with the audience no matter where they're from. Hey, they may not be Indian, so they may not be able to understand this experience, but transgender issues are big right now. Yo, why don't we play this up? Why don't we hook this stuff in? Let's try to lean into this a little bit. So now that you have a larger audience connecting with that, let's take the sex worker angle and let's play that up a little bit and let's bring it all together. When he did that, it does bring a larger audience in to feel emotionally connected to the characters. And number one, and then it makes our hero's journey more satisfying at the end. But one of the problems that I saw is that they didn't clearly roll out his motivation personally. Yes, he had people that helped him out and he felt like he needed to help him, but there was definitely a very focused point to what he was trying to do. And yes, we did see, what happened, and yes, we would all be out for blood and Ravinga after, what happened. But I just feel like it was, instead of putting a little bit of mayonnaise on both buns, I felt like they took a big gigantic fucking potato wedge spoon of mayonnaise and dopped it all on one side. And it was just a little bit too much for me. But at the end of the day, I love mayonnaise. So you know what I mean? I love the film. I will be buying this film. I'm just going to hope that next time, if they do a Monkey Man 2, there's less mayonnaise. That's all I gotta say. I really wish we could get into spoilers. If we do something like to the people, I would definitely like to do it. Yeah, but I don't want to ruin it. Let's hurry up and get this. Let's get the review on this thing, man. So, all right. So, is it a classic? Is it a good watch? Is it kept on streaming? Is it not doing it for me? Is it a? Oh hell no! Or if you ever show me this ever again, I will. All righty then. So, AB, I would like you to do us the honors of going first.
It's a flat. To me, it's a flat good watch. To me,
okay, I like that.
It can become a classic for some people because people. Let's face it, we got a lot of people that like movies like this in this John Wick style.
Mm-hmm.
This dirty, dark world.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be, it'll probably if they have. I feel like that. I'll just say this as a mild spoiler. I feel like there's about 10 or 15 more minutes of movie in there. that they need to just they might be a director's cut we'll probably get eventually.
Yeah, I felt like they already put the whole kitchen sink in that motherfucker. But yeah, man, if you want more kitchen sink, no problem. Dad Panther, what's your rating on this thing?
I want to say if we disregard the video that you showed that kind of showed the problems that the studio went through, I think the biggest thing I was like, he told me keep looking. I think the thing that gets me is we don't hold that same standard with a lot of other movies, whether big or small. This movie hasn't come out in India because of the issues inside the movie and the gore and stuff like that. But it only took 10 million to make this movie, and they already made that on the opening weekend. So it is nice to see something that doesn't have the full budget. There are some dark stories that go with it, like someone caught a full heart attack and passed away during the making of the movie, and the crew that did John Wick was the crew that was supposed to be the fighting crew. Because of locations they couldn't do it, and so you lost that. And so that's why you had the Easter egg from John Wick with the suit and everything, and there were so many moments that I'm rating this on just for the idea of he was giving love back to the revenge film, the action film, to see some of those scenes where he does a kill and the camera zooms in and he's giving a nod to Bruce Lee's, like, wow, like that slow motion thing, that intensity. There's a scene on the last fight that met that last boss, not like the Rock last boss, but that final boss where you can see these mirror plates that are changing, and that's another nod to Bruce Lee. That's another nod to those kind of movies. So to see that in there, I thought was smooth and consistent. I do agree with Jay in a way about the mayonnaise, just like with what Eddie was saying, is like how well balanced. I'm not feeling some type of way because they put political issues or important issues, not just for the world, but for the country in which they feel related to. It's just how they executed that will turn people off, and I don't think it's going to turn people off on the same level as a movie like Magical Negroes, where they pulled that out of theater after 3 weeks because it was so bad and it didn't make the profit back for what they spent, and that's going to be taught in some film class somewhere else. So I would rate that long-winded. It's a good watch. They could have. When I left the theater, when I was talking to AB and Eddie, when we left the theater, I was ready to give it a classic for the execution of which it did. And that's without me knowing what they put together. It's just sitting with it and thinking about it the day after. It was like they didn't nail the sentimental political parts. And if they weren't going to find a way to nail that, I like them showing the light and how but if they can't execute that properly, it took away from the movie. And I think you would have taken off possibly 30 minutes and you would have made this a really fast-paced action movie.
Yo, I agree with you, man. Slicing off about 30 minutes would have tightened this completely up, and we would have gotten our satisfaction a little bit faster. I think everybody, it would have been going so fast, even if there were mistakes, we wouldn't have been able to pay attention to it, because we would have been we would have let it completely go. We would have been like, all right, it is what it is. So like, yo, Dad Panther, yeah, thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
I just want to go point out one more thing, that Dad Panther, you are correct. And they also had that one overhead scene, like that scene from Chinese Connection when he was fighting everybody in the room, with that solid shot of him beating up everybody. And as you say, they could have shaved a couple of parts off. I mean, I'll just say this. It's a nothing burger to say this slight spoiler, but that one long scene with that one prostitute that he would, I guess they were trying to make it into a love interest or something. I don't know, but they could have just trimmed that out. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you could have completely cut the prostitute chick out and it wouldn't have affected the film one bit. However, I would pay her any amount of money for her to be in any one of my films. So,
don't get me wrong. She was fine. She was
more than fine. She was more than fine.
Yeah, my nigga. Yeah. I'm risking it all. You know what I mean? Yeah, I need you on set again. You got to come back. No. I need you on set. All right. You understand me? So anyway, Eddie, you want me to go last? You going to go last? How you want to do it?
It doesn't matter, man. Whatever makes you comfortable, I'm good.
All right. I would like to add a couple more things since Dad Panther wants to add on stuff. I'm gonna add on stuff. So because he will not over add on me. All right. So
Oh God, now he's gonna talk about 20 minutes now.
it's an add-on competition. But no, I really quickly I want to say this is and I want y'all to make I'm gonna put I want this to be a clip. Monkey Man is a prime example of how you write yourself into superstardom. You understand what I'm saying? Dev Patel had played a lot of soft parts. This man obviously wanted to be taken seriously as the potential of an action star. He wrote the shit out of a good script and he acted the hell out of this motherfucker. Like, I want to give him so many props for that. He wrote himself to be a leading man and then he sold that shit. Hey, hello, Denzel son. Denzel son. What is your name? John son? Whatever the fuck that nigga name is. Denzel son. This is how you do it. This is how you become an action star right here. Okay, Denzel son. So anyway, last thing I'm gonna say is for a bunch of actors and actresses I never saw in my entire life, there's some phenomenal acting in there, man. Like the little sidekick guy that literally had nothing to do the whole goddamn film but be funny and try to be existential and have wide eyes and be scared. Dope. I loved him. Funny. The bad guy, lady in charge person. Dope. You know what I'm saying? All of the big bads. Dope. Yo, the transgender dude. Fire. Like so many fire acting. So much fire acting. Even the kids came and killed it. So I'm not going to talk anymore. What I will say is my rating is definitely a good watch, and I'm buying it. Now for the executive producer himself, Mr. Lingo, please take it away.
So for me, because I definitely did not feel as great about it, but I look at things a little differently, storytelling wise. But I still did enjoy what I got. I don't think I will buy it to support because I am that type of person, but I won't ever really watch it again. But I still recommend everybody go get their own opinion and watch it. But for me, I'm gonna have to leave it at catch on streaming.
You know what? I can't change your mind, and I'm not trying to, but I feel like this is worth a second watch because there's so much to it. There are so many things y'all were just saying, and I'm like, damn, I didn't pick up on that, or I didn't pick up on this. Like, I definitely. I don't know. I was so engrossed in the story and how things was happening. I feel like one more or two more watches could really flesh it out to me. But like I said, I'm going to add this to my collection. I'm definitely going to recommend if I got a cousins coming into town, or this is one of them things where if it's like we playing cards in the crib, I'll throw this on the background and everybody will have a good time watching it while we playing spades or whatever. Like, it's definitely one of them dope joints for me.